Good morning, my dear students. Hope all of you are keeping well. If someone were to ask you, who are you? What would you answer? If you are a boy, you may say, I am a boy. Or you may say, I am a student. Or you may even say, I am the owner of a laptop or a mobile, etc. In other words, your answer reveals that your identity is depending on what you are, what you do, what you have, all external things. But your true identity is based on something greater, something inside you. Unlike other animals or birds, you have the ability to think, to will, to decide, and to love. In other words, what makes you really you is what is inside you, and that we call soul.
There was a man who made a living selling balloons at a fair. He had all colors of balloons, including red, yellow, blue, and green. Whenever his business was dull, he would release a helium-filled balloon into the air, and when the children saw it go up, they all wanted to buy one. They would come up to him, buy a balloon, and his sales would go up again. He continued this process all day. One day, he felt someone tugging at his jacket. He turned around and saw a little boy who asked, "If you release a black balloon, would that also fly?" Moved by the boy's concern, the man replied with empathy, "Son, it is not the color of the balloon that matters. It is what is inside that makes it go up." The same principle applies to our lives. It is what is inside that counts. The thing inside of us that makes us fly into the sky is not our external appearances, but the stuff we have inside of us. I would call it the soul.
You are not consisting of only your body, but what is more important is that you have a soul. That is why you and I are specially loved by God. You are beloved son or daughter of God. Often we think more of our body and take much care of the body, eating healthy food, keeping the body clean, doing regular exercises, taking a rest at proper times. All these ensures a nourished and robust body. Just as the body needs to be nourished, the soul also needs to be nourished. Now let me ask you one question. What is one's soul? The great philosopher Aristotle stated that man is a composite of body and soul. One Jewish website described the soul as the self or the I that inhabits the body and acts through it. Without the soul, the body is like a light bulb without electricity, a computer without the software, a spacesuit with no astronaut inside. With the introduction of the soul, the body acquires life, sight and hearing, thought and speech, intelligence and emotions, will and desire, personality and identity. Jainism, one of India's ancient religions, has as one of its basic tenets the knowledge of self or soul. As per Jain philosophy, anyone who does not have the true knowledge of the self and yet has vast knowledge of all books and other worldly arts and many other sciences and objects, is still considered ignorant. So, how can we gain this knowledge of the soul? A body without proper and daily nourishment grows weak and meets with death. Similarly, our souls will also die of spiritual starvation unless we nourish the soul with spiritual exercises. Spiritual exercises keep us in constant communion with God. We as human beings, despite our shortcomings and limitations, have an innate desire to connect with the divine. Through regular and daily spiritual exercises, we can sustain a close communion and relationship with our Creator. All religions preach the need to connect with God on a regular basis. Though the ways and manner prescribed vary from religion to religion, a basic concept remains the same, that it is essential to be attuned to God to sustain our soul. Nearly all religions have a special time during the year when devotees are encouraged to renew their religious beliefs and make a concerted effort to provide nourishment for their souls. For Muslims, for example, it is a holy month of Ramadan when they observe strict fasting from dawn to sunset. Christians observe Lent, 40 days of prayer and penance and fasting in preparation for Easter. Karkadagam, the last month of the Malayalam calendar, is regarded as a special by Hindus who devote time for the recitation of the Ramayana and undertake a pilgrimage to 4 holy temples during this month. Though these annual practices and observances have merit and add value to our spiritual lives, it is even more important to practice certain spiritual exercises on a daily basis to nourish our souls. These spiritual practices can be simple and something that can be incorporated into our daily routine. The life history of great people and saints beautifully illustrate the benefits of daily spiritual exercises and its effect on their actions and thoughts. Some such spiritual exercises are the following. Number 1, conversation with God. Prayer is nothing but simply talking to God and listening to Him speaking to us. It's a relationship with God. In the Bible, there is a story of a prophet who waited for God to speak to him. First, there was a great wind, so strong that it was splitting mountains and breaking rocks in pieces. But God was not in the wind. After the wind, there was an earthquake, but God was not in the earthquake. Then a fire followed the earthquake, but God was not in the fire. At last, there was the sound of sheer silence, and God spoke to the prophet in that whisper. Dear friends, in a world filled with noises, both inside our heads and outside, it is easy to miss the whisper of God speaking to our soul. In the words of Thomas Merton, silence is the first language of God. All else is a poor translation. It will be easy to identify God's voice in our life if we make it a habit to talk to Him on a daily basis. There are so many times we can talk to God. Starting the day with a prayer. begin each day by thanking God for it and asking for His special guidance throughout the day. Again, say thank you throughout the day. Keep thanking God for both the unforeseen and foreseen circumstances that you face. Also, at the end of the day, bring to mind all that the day had to offer. Say a small prayer for those in need. Ask forgiveness for any sins of omission or commission. And once again, thank God for His presence throughout the day. The second important way to have this communication with God is reading the scriptures. Every religion has a holy book to instruct, to encourage, and inspire devotees. Make it a habit to read a little bit of your holy book every day. The scriptures provide the practical advice required on how to live a life of holiness and goodness in our day-to-day lives. And third very important way of communicating and having good relationship with God is to reach out. No spiritual practice is complete if it ignores the needy and suffering people around us. Certain religions preach the need to give at least a tenth of one's income to the poor each month. Ambrose, a saint from the 4th century, explains this responsibility we have towards our needy brothers and sisters using a powerful imagery. Since the world and its resources were created by God for all of its inhabitants, whatever I take possession of is not mine in an absolute sense, but I have simply taken it on a loan from everyone else on earth. For this reason, I should be eager to pay back my loan by giving to the poor as much as I can. He says further, it is not from your own possession that you are bestowing alms on the poor, you are but restoring to them what is theirs by right. For what was given to everyone for the use of all, you have taken for your exclusive use. The earth belongs not to the rich, but to everyone. Thus, far from giving lavishly, you are but paying part of your debt. It is not just how much or how little we give, but the attitude while we give, that is important. As young people, it might not be possible for you to give away large sums of money, but even then, you can make some sacrifice and keep aside a small percentage from your pocket money to give the poor. It is not just the money you can share, your time with others. You can help weak students in their studies or listen to someone talk about their troubles. You can also share your books, toys, etc. with other children. Now, I would like to give you something practical to do as an assignment. Now that you know how important it is to connect with God every day to nourish your soul, write down 2 simple spiritual practices you can begin to undertake on a daily basis. So think about it and write 2 practices that you can start from tomorrow. And second assignment is that ask yourself, how can you put your spirituality into practice? By reaching out to suffering and poor people around you. That is a practical way of relating to God and what God loves very much. So thank you and have a nice day.
Once there was a heated argument among a group of people regarding the posture that one should have while praying. A few of them were of the opinion that people should pray with joined hands. Another group of people said that the prayer should be done with upraised hands. The argument went on and on. Soon they became divided. One group stood for praying with hands folded, and the other group for praying with upraised hands. When the people joined one group or another, only an old man stood in the middle, covering himself with a shawl. The priest asked the man the reason for taking a neutral stand. At this moment, a gush of wind blew, and the shawl which was worn by the old man fell on the ground to find that he had no hands. To the shame and surprise of everyone, he said, "What really matters in prayer is not the hands raised up or joined, but the hearts raised up to God in great love." Prayer is a living and loving relationship with God, and so there is no place for hypocrisy in it. God respects not the arithmetic of our prayers, how many they are, nor the rhetoric of our prayers, how elegant they are, nor the music of our prayers, how melodious they are, nor the logic of our prayers, how methodical they are, but the sincerity of our prayers, how heart-sprung they are. Prayer is not asking, it is a longing of the soul. It is daily admission of one's weaknesses. It is better in prayer to have a heart without words than words without a heart.